Yes, hello. I am Paul Schmidt. I am the leader of the Illinois Paranormalists. We got a little bit something different today as far as a podcast. Rather than being ghosts and black-eyed children and all those other things, we're doing aliens and UFOs. We got into a rather spirited, or UAPs, whatever you want to call them.
Right.
We got to a rather spirited discussion one day amongst our team on UFOs. And I just decided, let's do a podcast. You know, we don't always stick to the same subjects. And we have one of our experts here in Doug. And I'll let everybody introduce themselves. And here we go.
All right. And I'm Deborah. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Illinois Paranormalists. We're talking about paranormal UFO, UAPs, and freaky things in the sky. So we're excited to be here with you, and you guys will have a lot more coming to you in the future. So take it away, Doug.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. I'm Doug. It's been some crazy, exciting times for the summer, especially those who are been following along the UAP, NHI, call it how you want. I know the recent government terminology, it's all changed to NHI, which is non-human intelligence. And then you have UAP, which is unidentified aerial phenomena. So, but I mean, either way, you can call it extraterrestrial, aliens, or even UFOs. So it's all the same jargon, but, you know, moving forward, I think the government just wants to keep it to those terminology. But yeah, one of the craziest things that has happened was I'm pretty sure it was July 27th. There was a congressional hearing that happened within our U.S. government where we had 3 witnesses under oath that talked about like their experiences with UFOs. One of the main headliners that I know of is David Grush, who was he worked for the intelligence community. He was doing just studying. I think he was part of a task force to uncover like any corruption, things like that. I might be butchering it, but long story short, he had over 40 witnesses that were on, legacy programs of UFO crash retrievals. People have came to him that he witnessed, explained these situations. So he doesn't have firsthand evidence, but he has secondhand information from doing his job that he was hired to do. And he's been spent like 11 hours with both the inspector general to like go over like all of his findings and stuff. So it's just crazy. So I don't even know where to even begin, but that's pretty much what happened. And then past that, like everything started to like fly through. So September was like a big sort of some big stuff. We had the Mexico's hearing. Granted, it wasn't a congressional hearing. There was some guy that ended up, showcasing stuff. Allegedly, there has been UFO mummies that he's shown. Now, at first, it was interesting, but, I felt like a kid in a candy store, but I had to come back down to earth. Being a paranormal investigator, especially with, Paul and Deb, it's one of those things where you have to start taking things with like grain of salt, do scientific research, stuff like that. But yeah, with the whole like mummies, it's crazy. So people think there's like a huge debate going online between whether it's a hoax or not. All the data is out there. Scientists have been going through it. So, it's just one of those things where we'll just wait to see what happens. So
We know those mummies personally.
Yeah.
I just thought they looked a little bit too much like E.T.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, that's just too much of a coincidence.
Yes,
Right.
yes. They were supposed to be found in Peru.
Right.
And yeah, so, and it's so sad that they did that because we're all taking it so seriously because a lot of people are seeing stuff in the skies. They have been for centuries. There's famous frescoes that have UFOs in the pictures and a monk looking up into the sky at that picture. So all of those painters just, because that is so amazing that they could picture this, paint it in. And so it's been happening. And the cave pictures, all the hieroglyphs, the pictographs out in the Southwest, especially with our Native American population. It is just crazy, especially Utah, anywhere around Skinwalker Ranch.
Yep.
So yeah, it is quite amazing. But yeah, it was too bad that they showed those.
I know.
'Cause otherwise, it could have been very interesting. But now a lot of people don't take it serious. But
Right.
with the Congress, it was great, or having that meeting, because they had Air Force pilots, and
Yep.
that is just fantastic. And they were shunned from talking about this, and now it's opened up a lot, and so they can tell their story and be taken seriously. And I know there were a few senators years ago that were pulling for this and saying we're going to look into it, and they even made that, you were talking about, that man ran for the I don't know if it was CIA or what it was a special thing for unidentified flying objects, UAPs, not sure what they called it, but yeah, so they took it serious enough to make a payment and incorporate them and do a study on it. So I think that's fantastic. And then he left, and a lot of these people are coming out with new shows. I did see a few on Discovery Channel, I believe it is. There are some really good, I think it's called Unidentified, and I believe he is in that show. So that is a really good one. But yeah, go ahead, Doug.
Oh no. So
can I say something first?
Yeah.
You talk about like having those hearings, and I was going to say, in the past, the government never admitted or talked about UFOs or anything. It was always covered up.
Yep.
And so the fact that we're now talking about them, it just, to me, something's coming.
Right.
Why would they be having hearings? Why would they be talking so much? Why is it so out there now?
Why did they make it public?
Yes. I even asked a friend of mine who's a psychic, whatever, if something's coming, because I said, this is just, why would all of a sudden all the governments are talking freely? And he basically said, yeah. He said, there's going to be something, a disclosure or something's going to happen because they're preparing all of us.
Right.
I agree, and it is kind of scary that our Air Force, from the testimony they've given and the different testimony, that, they would lock onto it and then it would be boop, gone. And it's like, how do you defend yourself against that? So hopefully there is, like, there's Area 51 and there's also Area 52, which a lot of people don't know about. So I hope that there is a secret, I don't know what you call it, like secret weapon or something, and I get it. They can't tell us everything because, could you imagine in the 50s or when Roswell happened, if they, they admitted it and then took it away, if they would have done it, that could have caused mass hysteria. But nowadays, I don't know, everyone's so jaded that I think that if the aliens did come down and talk to us, if they have been here, that half of us wouldn't believe it anyways, even if we saw it. So,
as long as it's not like Independence Day when they wipe everybody out.
Right. That's right. Hey, we all got to go someday.
Come, be friendly, but do not wipe out our cities.
That's
Where's
right.
Area 52? I had not heard of that.
It's
that's new to me.
Far.
Okay.
Yep. Not too far from, it's in Nevada, I believe. And it's not too many miles away from Area 51. So it's in the deserts, of course, because that's the safest place to do it. So, and I always wonder, like when you're driving through the Southwest, if there are other ones like White Sands, it's a missile range. So I drove by that recently. And you kind of wonder, maybe you never know what's going on because it's all mountains. So, but I would like to know that the government has a plan. And I think that would be something that they should share.
Yeah, I also have heard, and I don't know if I got the right base. I think it's Andrews Air Force Base. They hold a lot of the crashed UFOs and
they did.
Yeah.
They did, at least in one hangar, and then now it's not there.
Okay.
Yeah, I could
They
have.
moved it.
I thought it was. What's the Air Force Base in Ohio? That
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
Whitehall, maybe? No, is it Whitehall?
it's. I thought it started with the E, but the only thing that I'm pulling up is the Wright-Patterson Air
Right,
Force
right,
Base.
yeah, it might be
Patterson.
right, Patterson. You're
It
right.
is right,
Yeah.
Patterson. Yes, and I should know that I'm an Air Force mom, but we are not allowed to talk about stuff like that.
Well, you
So,
are right.
Right.
It's in Ohio.
yes,
Yeah,
You are right. That's the
yeah,
one.
right,
and
Patterson is in Ohio.
the only reason why I know about the whole Ohio stuff is because Mike Turner, the representative in Ohio, gets a lot of money donations from the defense contract agencies and things like that, and he's really pushing hard to like put an end to all of this. You know, it was right after the whole like the U.S. congressional hearing, he dismissed it, and it was on Fox News. It was really bad of him because, he said like, he liked how he was like making fun of David Grush in the sense that he enjoyed watching him go to it and then just dismiss everything, saying like, "Oh, I don't have the evidence." And the real thing that I want Mike Turner to understand is like, no, David Grush didn't have the evidence, but he could provide information, lists, all that stuff if he got into a skiff, and they denied him the skiff to go in there because of his his clearance level. I think something happened with his clearance level where he got it taken away or something. It's all
Right.
on the internet.
Oh, I
but
know with the
yeah.
government too.
Yeah.
When those famous Phoenix lights happened,
Yes.
it was not that long ago. Their mayor at the time, or governor, I can't remember, excuse me, had come out and made fun of it. He did a press conference and then had someone come out in a Martian outfit.
Yeah.
Right.
And then now that he's out of government and retired, he has come out and done interviews saying that, yes, there was something going on. So, I get it. I
Mhm.
understand the pressure of that. And at the time, so we are opening up to a new time, which is fantastic. So, yeah.
But it's the same thing with ghost hunting where we want evidence.
Right.
That's why I always say I have total respect for psychics and whatever, but I can't show that to anybody.
Right.
You just tell me, oh, I sent someone over in the corner. Well, great, but what do I do with that?
Right.
Other than if we can go over there and do like got to get an EVP or whatever that we can show people or let people listen to. But
Right.
that's why we always say we're based in evidence. We want evidence.
Yeah. And I think that's like the hard thing is like as people get close to evidence, or like getting to disclosure, there's a lot of stonewalls happening. Like I know Tim Burchett, he's been trying to push it, but he's been getting stonewalled. And they tried to get a committee, they shut down the committee. He's trying to get more UAP hearings. There's a lot of budge. There's a bill that they're trying to pass that it's an uphill battle that keeps like, and so like Ross Coulthart and Jeremy Corbell and a couple of other guys, that it kind of started following as like all this stuff started happening. They've been saying like as you get closer, be prepared for more like stonewalling, and after that, like it just set, and that's one of the things people were afraid of with the mummies, right?
Right.
Is that they think it's like gonna set disclosure back like 10 more years or like
Right.
even
And we have an
more.
election year coming up.
Yeah, that's
So it's
that,
really
that's a
going to
real,
be
yeah,
shut down for the next year
yeah,
or so. So,
yep,
yep. So hopefully people are working in the background, keep doing the hard work. So that
yeah.
is great because there are some great organizations. MUFON.
Hmm.
I've had a dealing with them once, many, many years ago. We heard a case from them, and it ended up being not a serious case, but it had been done with us. So there are many chapters of MUFON, and they're fantastic. They keep records like you would not believe of anything, UFO, UAP, or extraterrestrial sky items.
Hmm.
So that's always a good resource for anybody that's looking for more information on the subject today.
Yeah. especially Reddit. I know that's like one of the biggest. There's a Reddit thread called UFOs or like slash UFOs that I've been reading on, and majority of the community has been like agreeing on like a lot of sources and stuff and credibility. But I know like if you post something about like Stephen Greer, they like go up in arms and stuff. So
No. Yeah, because I know like here in the 1970s, this was
yeah,
crazy. There were sightings all across Illinois,
yep,
and they had started down near Roswell and gone
hmm
up like right through Chicago, right over O'Hare.
I remember hearing about O'Hare.
Police
Yeah,
departments were chasing this thing because so
yep,
many people were like, there is something in the sky. And it went from district to district of Illinois, different counties. And there were sightings at O'Hare. I mean, for the
right,
police department to take this serious, see things and talk about it. Now,
yep,
back then they were like, no. But now they're talking about their experiences is really nice. You
right,
gotta, they get a little bit more of an up when there are fire department, our military, and our police department. And I know in Western Illinois there was one as well, and that one I believe was in the 1970s, or that could
hmm
have been 2006. I might be a little off on my time, but they followed it out of St. Louis all the way up. And again, police departments were chasing this thing. So it's quite amazing for what's coming over Illinois, but it is worldwide.
right.
And my son was stationed in the UK, and there's 3 or 4 bases in the UK that have RAF. So it is Air Force out of other countries plus the UK. And there were many sightings by many military commanders and their tech sergeants and everything underneath them for strange lights in the woods going on. It
Oh
happened around
wow,
Christmas, and missile silos. And that's where it was. It was a missile silo base. And so all that is just amazing and scary all at the same time.
yep.
Yeah, they're attracted to our military bases, and I think Doug mentioned this. They're attracted to nuclear sites.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things that I've been like reading about that people have like short clipped like notes on is that a lot of it's interesting how a lot of this like seeing the movie Oppenheimer and how they were trying to keep the nuclear bomb like secret and stuff, and everyone thinks like during World War II that's where a lot of this stuff was happening, and as soon as the nuclear bomb dropped, that's when like everybody was like, oh okay, like meaning like the NHI has started getting like really interested in the fact that we have nuclear bombs or what we're doing with nuclear
Oh yeah, lots of
stuff.
reports in World War II,
Yep,
even begin right before then of even in the USSR, which is Russia now, and that area, and
yep.
our allies here over Germany, everywhere there were sightings while these missions were taking place. So that is intriguing to me.
Well,
Yeah.
that's where the expression came, and it's not just a band. That Foo Fighters,
Yes.
there are UFOs up on, I think, in the Northwest, up by Canada or Alaska and whatever.
Yep.
And it was our Air Force pilots seeing UFOs, and they were called Foo Fighters.
Nice.
Oh yeah. Yep. That's something that I remember hearing about too. I haven't gotten a chance to like look into the whole like Foo Fighters stuff. People keep referencing it on the internet, and that's something that I gotta find time to like look up and read on it. So
Right. Yes. Oh, I know. And like the Utah Basin and
mhm.
Skinwalker Ranch are, they have done tests out there for years. This has gone on for years and years. There have been
Right.
sightings, especially in the Utah Basin area. And then with Skinwalker Ranch, they don't know that it's high EMFs in certain places. They're getting radiation in certain places. So
Yep.
is it the land that's messing with people? I don't think so, because there's so many mass sightings all over the world.
Right.
So it can't be just one place. But yeah, that Skinwalker Ranch is pretty interesting. I
Oh
love
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, at one point I wanted to go there because I want to see a UFO, and I have.
Right.
But then I saw the show now, and I'm like, oh, you can't get anywhere near.
Right.
So
Yeah.
no, I won't go there. In fact, I was going to ask Doug, where do you go to see a UFO? Because I know you said in the past nuclear sites. I'm like, well,
Nuclear site. Yeah.
I don't have one of those in my backyard.
You're right.
So how do I go see a
Yeah.
UFO?
You know, that's
Look up.
yeah, you just look up, hope to see something. But you know, a lot of people with today now, there's a lot of like satellites, and I know you also have Starlink.
Yes.
And on the Reddit page, people keep posting stuff thinking that they're seeing something, but it's just Starlink.
Yes, and there is a web page for Starlink that you can follow, because you can still follow Starman. He's still out there in space. That is the Tesla with the dude in it, still floating out there, which is quite amazing if you think about it. What a feat of technology there. So, and you always have to wonder with Tesla motors and SpaceX and what is it? I can't think of Jeff Bezos' company.
Blue Origin.
Blue Origin.
Is it Blue Origin? Let me double check.
And the other guy with Virgin, just that kind of, are they seeing things? Have they, the technology is so great. It's amazing that they can land these rockets,
Blue Origin,
pinpoint in the ocean on a barge. And so I always wonder when they were sending up people, what have they seen when they are having these astronauts go up? Because there has been sightings that were filmed from the International Space Station, and then all of a sudden, whoops, the feed's gone. So I love to watch that. I put that on the background when I'm working during the day, and I just love to see it because it's just amazing to see.
Right.
And we can't be the only ones out there. We can't be.
No. With how
there
big
has to be someone smarter than us.
Right. With how big the universe is, I mean, it's just it would be I can't think. It would be foolish. I'll just say that. It would be foolish to think like we're the only ones with how big everything is. Go on. What were you going to say, Paul?
No, I was just going to say that's what I always say when people ask, like, well, do you believe in UFOs or whatever? I said, that's not the question.
Right.
First, you have to ask, do you believe there's other life and other planets and all that? And I said, if you get a yes there, which I believe,
right.
I said, then you got to kind of get to, are any of them going to develop to the point they could get here,
Oh, so, yeah, they're already here because, and I believe this because if you know microbiology, we had meteorite strikes like crazy. They're finding meteorites in whole pieces.
Right.
Don't tell me there's no microbes in there, because our amoebas and everything are everywhere. We can't see them. Doesn't mean they're not there. So, and this has been happening for thousands of years. They believe an asteroid hit us. How could there not be some kind of a microbial, biological that came? And, who knows? So I think it's quite amazing that some don't believe, which is fine. I know I need proof too, but I really feel that some kind of life form has been here in the past and may still be here. You never know, right?
Right. Yeah. And it's interesting that you brought up the NASA because I know, was it earlier this week or last week they had their independent study research, and it was
disappointing.
It was disappointing. I didn't agree with Bill Nelson and how he discredited David Grush.
Right.
Because he said he got like secondhand information from late night television, and it's like he says, "Show me the facts." About like a TV show that says, "Show me the facts." So I get it. He wants the facts, but it's also, why didn't you just watch the congressional hearing then and listen to their testimonies? So,
and all of our military and people that are seeing it can't be lying. I really believe that 99% of people are good,
right?
And not misleading. So somebody saw something, and I was taken aback too. I was like, well, I watched and I was just shaking my head the whole time, going, we're trying to take this serious here, and I think he poo-pooed it away a little bit.
But like, NASA saying that there's nothing, right? Then you have like Dr. Kirkpatrick, who's the head of Aero, saying we have nothing, right?
Right.
Like everybody is shutting this down. Then like, congressional hearing, then people are starting to say, well, okay, we are seeing some weird things, but
Right.
like
And then
doesn't mean,
Mexico pulls out those mummies.
yeah.
And it's like, you got to be kidding me.
I
We're
know.
set back,
Ryan,
10 years.
it was Ryan Graves and who was the other one? I can't remember his name. David Fravor. Those were the two pilots. David Fravor was the Navy pilot. Ryan Graves, I think, was in the Air Force.
Right.
But Ryan Graves was down in Mexico, and he was very like disappointed when they brought up the UFO, like the mummy stuff, because he's trying to he sees other pilots see it, and it's not just
Yes.
military, it's commercial pilots too.
Correct.
So Ryan Graves is putting forth to make sure that this is exposed. There's safety
There is.
safety
Yeah.
procedures set up in place, and where everyone had to keep quiet about this, because if someone would say something, right, they would be questioned and grilled, and then they would have to get tested to see if they can still fly again, because people would think it's like psychological. So it's just crazy. But
It is.
yeah, the NASA was pretty disappointing, and
It was sad.
they based their research on stuff that was open, right? So based on what they saw,
Right.
so things that are still classified information, they didn't go.
They didn't want to look into it.
Yeah.
Not that they couldn't, because Bill Nelson could do it.
That right.
Yeah.
And
They did not
yeah.
want to look into it, because then they're going to have to take it serious, and then they're going to have to say something, because they are the ones that said, okay, we're going to do a report on it.
Right. And it's one of those things, right? Like if you're trying to be like scientists, right? You
Right.
need all the facts, right? Again, show me the facts, right? Okay, well, if you're only studying half of it, right? The information that you can go to and not the classified, it's just, I don't know.
Right. And it's not just here, it's Mexico. There were so many sightings.
Yep.
I believe it was the USS Nimbus.
Mhm.
Down near California, Mexico, and they were tracking these, and
Yeah.
it was on radar, on radar, and then they watched where they went, and it went towards Mexico.
Yep.
And it's just amazing. And people are seeing them coming out of water down in Mexico,
Yes. Yep.
all over the west coast of the US. So Peru, everywhere. I mean, it's not just here. So
Right.
Well, there's been hundreds up in Canada
Yes.
just this year.
that's amazing.
Lots.
Right.
And some people think that, in like Alaska, Canada, they shot down 2 in February with the Chinese spy balloons.
Oh, right. Yeah.
There's
The balloons.
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. So there's a couple of weird phenomenon happening up there. Now, was it one of those Chinese spy balloons? Maybe. If it was it like UAP stuff, maybe. But again, it's just wild.
It is wild.
It's a
I just
wild
love
time.
the fact that some of these crash sites, people go in and they're getting high radiation in
Yeah.
the land, and they're not finding any parts because it's been combed over.
Right.
But I think that's just so interesting, that the radiation and the different levels of EMF that they're pulling out every time there's a reported landing, at least.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So, and the hard thing is like the reason why they, like some people call it NHIs, right? Non-human intelligence, because they don't know what they are, right? And, when you talk about the radiation, they're trying to understand like how do they fly through, and, because they're using probably like radioactive material that uses like some type of propulsion, right? Like anti-gravity, that's something that again, like most people on the internet have been theorizing. So, but
right. And the black hole theory too,
Yeah.
That there's black holes out there, and we're starting to get better imaging of
Yep.
what they've done, a rendition of a black hole, which is quite amazing.
right.
And I mean, what is on the other side of that?
Yeah.
We don't want to know, but maybe we want to know.
Right.
But who's going to volunteer to go through there, right?
Exactly.
So,
Yep.
and can we get there is the thing.
Right.
So, yeah, I think that's amazing that, is it like another dimension where Maybe they're just like right above the treetops. We just don't see them, and then they pop in, they pop out.
Correct.
Kind of like shadow people. There's a whole bunch of different theories about
Right.
that. And some people think shadow people, little ones especially, and black-eyed kids, they think are also extraterrestrials. So extraterrestrial just means above the terrestrial,
Right.
It's outside of, just like paranormal is outside of the normal.
Right.
So so we have to keep that in mind too. But yeah, it's amazing what's going on.
Right. And it's possible that like our like ghost hunting and that could be related, but it's we just need data. That's honestly what it is.
Right. And that's why we do this, because we're trying to
Yeah.
find out, we're curious about everything.
Yep.
Elementals and cryptids. I would love to see Bigfoot. I think that'd be so cool.
I know.
I believe there's got to be some giant ape running around somewhere.
Right.
I just, because there's so many escaped animals around, especially in the Everglade area. You can see that.
Right.
So, and bear, how can things not have mutated if you think about it?
Right.
And is it alien? Is it just a mutation from us? We don't know. So,
right.
There are theories that Bigfoot travels interdimensionally.
Really?
That's why you see him, you don't see him, and like that.
I've heard that.
Yes, and same with shadow people, because they're there and then they're gone, and it's like, okay. Yeah.
Right.
So yes, definitely.
That's insane. Yeah, I'd never heard of it. Some of the things that I've heard, and again, like I said, like I take a lot of this like with a grain of salt, because again, like where am I getting all my information? Well, the internet, right?
Right.
Like, so, and you kind of just like piece stuff together, like, but where was I going? Oh, one of the presidents, I think Jimmy Carter, he was really big into like getting disclosure and stuff, and people keep saying like there was a moment where he was like found crying after they read him in, and I heard like he was really big in his like in like Christianity, like his faith and stuff like that. And they think the one thing that they told him was that it was actually the NHIs that created the like our religions and stuff to keep us from destroying ourselves. That's like
interesting.
That's like one theory. And then people try to figure out, well, why did they do this, right? And the rabbit hole is that we're just like soul containers for them,
right,
to like harvest one day, or like it's just weird, like but so those are the things that like I take with a grain of salt, because it's like that's weird. But then again, if you think about it, right, like we leave like footprints, and when we hear, was it some of the spirits that like if they've walked the floor like 10 days, like daily, right, they leave their footprint, and then when they would go into the afterlife, right, sometimes people will hear that footstep.
Correct.
Like them reliving their same like daily life.
Yep. And we don't know with time, how it works. I mean, we know some, but we know nothing if you think about it. So,
it's true.
Especially if there are these alien spacecraft that can come down, evade stuff, be gone in a second. So we don't know nothing if you think about it. So we're,
Yep.
I think it's fantastic that all these organizations are talking to each other as well. So people are sharing, trying to get the information out there.
Right.
And they did take a survey, and I cannot remember if it was in the Chicago Tribune. It was in one of the newspapers, that about 45% of people believe in aliens of some type, or UAPs or UFOs, whatever you want to call it, extraterrestrials. So I thought that was fascinating. That's like a step up, because nobody would have admitted it even on a phone call.
Right.
They would have been like, no.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But
Doug, have you ever heard of the Black Knight satellite?
No.
Satellite that's been orbiting Earth that nobody knows who it's from.
Really?
And it's been up there. I mean, I've read it hundreds of years. I don't know how they would know that.
Called the Black Knight?
Yeah, called the Black Knight. And space station seen it and all that, but nobody knows where it came from.
Right.
That's
You think about all that
interesting.
space junk that's out there, right? I mean, it's quite amazing. And I mean, we have technology that they say is coming to be able to shoot down an asteroid if it's coming towards us.
Right.
So, you never know what's possible. That is for sure. So yeah, Black Knight, I never heard of that.
I've never
Yes.
heard of that either. That's
Right.
interesting. So
And I know with like SpaceX, they're putting up, I believe it's 245,000 or more. You may even be more than that of their satellites for their Starlink. And that's not counting all the ones they're putting up for other ones for military and everything else. So there are, I know space is vast, but at least a low Earth orbit, it seems like there's a lot of satellites and stuff. And there's got to be something up there recording.
right.
I really
Yeah.
believe they have cameras besides what we see when they end the launches and things like that of stuff that's floating around. At least I hope so.
Well, in some people, as soon as they see something, because you can watch like the live feeds, right?
Yeah,
They say that as soon as something pops up, they cut the live feed.
correct. They've done that from the the ISS space
Yeah.
station.
Which
So,
makes
yeah.
no sense because it's like, okay, well, what are you trying to hide?
That's right. And astronauts have come out and talked about it. I believe
Right.
one of them has a book out.
Yep.
So yeah,
this-
there's a lot of reading material out there. So yeah.
Yeah. I know who did
Not
Encounters
Glenn.
of the Third Kind. What's that movie?
Oh, Close Encounters of the
Close,
Third
yeah,
Kind.
Close Encounters. He's coming out with a documentary on Netflix, a docu
really?
series. Yeah.
Yeah.
This week, actually, the 27th, I think, is when it comes out. And I was on the National Geographic. I was watching it through Disney Plus. He worked closely with a lot of the people in the community, like the UAP UFO community, because he wanted his movie to be very close to it, and I think it was based off of the town that saw like like a UFO right in front of them. The whole town saw it, and you couldn't I gotta look it up. Let me see if I
Right.
can find it. So.
Yeah, I know. It's mass hysteria. Not, I don't think so.
Right.
It's like the Phoenix Lights. There were thousands of people that saw this. People
Right.
took pictures, they took videos. And you guys, you can use this, especially if you have a good one.
Right.
Use your phones. If you see something, write it down at least. If you don't feel comfortable talking to somebody, you can always email us too.
Right.
So that is never a problem. But
Yep.
yeah, I mean, you've got phones, we've got telescopes,
Yep.
and the phones are getting better and better
They are.
every day at filming. So, and you can track like the constellations, everything, and
Oh
satellites,
yeah.
the Presidium, or not Presidium, the I can't think of what they're called when they come through every 100 years.
Comets.
Yes, comets and all those that come through. So you can
Right.
track it because if they can track it, I'm sure they can track some more.
Right. Yep. And I know on like I said, like on Reddit, the UFO forum that I go to, the community even says just record it, right?
Right.
Steady hands, record as much as you can, because some people would post 5 seconds, they zoom, they show it, and then they cut the film, and everyone's like, where's the rest of it?
That's right.
So,
And it is getting harder and harder
Yeah.
to, like in the old days, you could take your film,
Right.
people used actual cameras with film,
Yep.
and they could do stuff to it. Now you can do CGI and all that.
Right.
There are technologies to see if something has been messed with, which is fantastic.
Yes.
So we're coming a long way, and a few steps back, a few steps forward. So
Yeah. Do you guys there is a fun thing out with the whole the mummies, right? That
Right.
was in Mexico. I mean, how would people really react, right? If they came out and said, here they are, right? Do you think people would actually believe it, or do they Like,
I don't. I
like,
think seriously, Jesus Christ could land right here and
yeah,
say, I am here, and people would not believe it. A lot would not, because
right,
we're so jaded. And you hate to say that because,
right,
yeah. But yeah, I think, especially now that they pulled that,
yeah,
stunt, as I want to call it, because they have found so many different carvings way back in ancient
yeah,
civilizations that they have unearthed that
yep,
look like an alien. They look like an
yeah,
astronaut. They have the big face, the big eyes. So,
yep,
and you can see them on the walls of caves and the
Yeah, some of
mountains
those
themselves. Yeah.
carvings are the same across civilizations.
Yes.
right,
They're nowhere near each other, so they couldn't have.
Exactly. Egypt,
right,
they've got that. They've got it in Peru. They had it in China and just
yep,
all over. They're pulling these up from ancient sites. And then
right,
the big, even Easter Island, you think about it, the Moai don't really look alien, but why?
right,
Right? Why are these gigantic boulders and how did they get there?
right,
That is the amazing thing. I mean, I get it. People have always been prosperous and figured out things to do. That's how we've grown as a civilization. So,
right,
they had wheels, they had different things. So it's just amazing that there's so many, even with like the pyramids, if you look
pyramids,
around the world and they're
Stonehenge,
lined up and on the same
yeah,
axis and same shape, they all have these tombs underneath and
right,
caverns. So yeah, it's quite amazing that everybody just kind of went, let's build some pyramids and let's
right,
make some alien looking creatures. So yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
But then, like, someone was also comparing like the mummies at to like other like depictions that they saw the carvings of, and one of them they related it back to like Japan, because Japan had like the like breastplate, right? Like
right.
something like that. And then, one of the mummies has a metal, I think it's like osmium is the metal material, and everyone says that's like a super rare
Yes.
like material to even have. And so if it's that rare, why don't you just remove it and then
Right.
study that, but
Right. Yeah, I
it's
know
wild.
it can't be coincidence that all these cultures for thousands and thousands of years
Right,
have seen the same thing. I mean, they're depicting it and in their writings too, for what we can read of it.
right,
So yeah, it just can't be. There has to be something out there. At least I hope there is, but then I hope there isn't.
right. Yeah.
It's kind of scary to think the unknown is scary, and that's why
Well
we
then,
are paranormal investigators, because we
right,
like to learn and teach. We could talk about this all day long.
right.
And yeah, so UFOs, I would love that they'd come down here, but they're probably like, oh, you crazy people.
Americans
I'm
especially.
not
No.
coming. Yeah, everybody. We're not coming down there. Forget it. We're gonna
Right.
stay up here and just watch you and
Well then,
self-destruct.
yeah. And that's like a theory too, that it's
Right.
like the zookeeper theory, right? Like
Exactly, right? The
we like to,
watchers,
yeah,
because they say some people believe that angels are actually watchers from outer space,
right,
because they had wings depicted.
right,
You go back into the Bible, and the angels never had wings. If
right.
you read about it, or at least they don't say it. And I'm not sure,
Flaming
every Bible may not
chariots.
be the same.
Yeah.
So then, were they watchers from somewhere else?
Right.
Yep, Enoch, right? The
Yep.
Book of Enoch, the Watchers. So you never know.
Yeah. Oh, I know. It's wild. I hope that there's more stuff that comes out, from congressional hearings. If they get stonewalled again, everyone's saying that they have like an army of like whistleblowers, like
Oh yeah, I'm
firsthand,
sure.
ready to go. And I think there is someone named James Fox, and he was the one that asked Bill Nelson about David Grush, or it was somebody else. I can't remember, but he got a letter, an anonymous letter written to him, saying that he wanted somebody, or like they wanted to come out to James Fox on like live or something,
Right.
um, and talk about like everything. And he never got threatened by like what David Grush has been through, but he's firsthand witness of like the legacy program that went on. So
Right. Yeah.
it'd be
'Cause
interesting to see.
I believe it. People want
Yeah.
to know. They want to talk about it. I mean,
Right.
if you're holding this in, you're holding it in. It's on your shoulders. It's in your heart. You're
Right.
like, oh, you want to talk to somebody about it, and then you want them to
Right.
believe you. So yeah,
Especially if it's
especially
technology.
military.
Yeah. Well, the weird thing is, it's like, if you really like think about it, right? Like, if they have this technology, right? People like that they're reversing. Like, if it's true, right? I know the claim was that U.S. has UFOs, UAPs. They've retrieved biologics or pilots from them. We're doing reverse engineering program, right? I know it seems like I'm like a loony toony, but
No, I know what you mean. Like stealth
you know,
bombers, right? Where
right,
did they decide
laser
to go
surgery,
from like an
you know,
like an A-10 to a stealth bomber? That's a big leap in
right,
technology.
yep,
Yeah.
and like with like laser surgery, laser like precision, like and like there's one 4chan like posts, like people think it's a LARP, but then like one of the biggest things that he's been claiming, like this was earlier this year, right? Like back in March, this dude posted like, "Ask me anything." He's like suffering from like kidney failures or
Mm.
something like that. He's been on like reverse engineering programs, things like that, but he doesn't really care.
Right.
And so again,
Threaten me
people,
away, right?
yeah,
Exactly. I'm talking now because I need to get it out there.
exactly. So,
Yeah.
people don't know if it's true or not because again, it's all like anonymous posts and stuff. But he said to like watch like laser technology like increase, right? Because if that happens, then like it's something, I
Right.
don't know.
Right.
So
Yep. Yeah, and I can't remember recently, I don't know if it was during the pandemic, maybe it was like coming out of it in 2022 there were sightings in Illinois
yeah,
again. It might have
yep,
been 2023 earlier this year, but I believe it
yeah,
was like 2022, late 2021, especially over O'Hare. So our
yep,
airports are seeing it.
yep,
People are seeing it. And if you think about Illinois, O'Hare Airport is a huge airport. Tons of people come through there, and it's
right,
not just here in Illinois where they're being sighted. So
right.
all over, everywhere.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, you can't hide this anymore. I think
that's
it's
right.
just like you have to. But what I was going on was that if we have this technology that can like have free energy, right, that can make the world better, right, it's like it's like a uh, criminal act against humanity to withhold that information. And if it truly is for like power and control, like,
Right.
well, you're technically not in control if you have superior beings like outside of this planet.
That's
I don't know,
right.
it's weird. So,
Yep. Oh, I agree. So
yeah.
yeah, there's so much information. Can you give our viewers some sites that you like or books that any of you on the panel?
Yeah, so
Any books or sites that you like that like you said, you have to always read it with a grain with a
take
little
things with a
yeah,
grain of salt. Yeah.
that's right. Right.
And so one thing that this person, go ahead and just share my screen. Let me see if I
Okay.
can entire screen. Here we go. So yeah, so one thing you can see is there's this website called like Disclosure Diaries, right? And it's really fascinating. This person even is on like Reddit, like from the like this is the UFOs Reddit. Again, this is like the congressional hearing back here that it's updated. But I usually just like filter this to like hot topics and just read, some of the current posts and stuff like that. Like again, you have this, which is about like the mummies going through like scanning, right? People will like comment stuff on there to see like what people think about it, and then it's just like a group of people just really like talking about it, going through it. Then you have like this, people think like this was like some crash, like I'll try to zoom in as much as I
Oh,
can,
like a
but like
skid mark. Yeah.
yeah, skid mark, and they
Right.
believe like this is where the people say like this is a natural formation, but then it's like how could it be a natural formation if the skid mark like ends right here and you can see some
Where is that on?
Mars.
Mars?
Yeah, they
Interesting.
believe this is something on Mars, and there's a lot of like crazy things like you would see on Mars that could be natural formations and stuff like that. But it's just one of those things where like again, you just take it with a grain of salt.
Right.
Is my
Right.
screen still showing?
I can show it again if you
Yeah.
have some more you want to show.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I was just going to go back to the disclosure diaries. But yeah, this is the disclosure diaries is
It's
pretty
going to
much.
take a second. Sorry
Yeah,
about
very
that.
good.
Yep.
This is pretty much like the biggest website that I would go to. It gives you like past week disclosure updates, things like that. You can go to the homepage. Talk about congressional hearing, disclosure, explanations, famous cases, any legislation, news, summaries, weekly updates. So, this person really did a phenomenal job of putting stuff together. If you click on activism, right, they have the ability where, you can click down, you can call these people. Again, here's Mike Turner from Ohio. You can go ahead and give him a call, email him, harass him, tell him, get rid of your kickbacks, really do disclosure for humanity stuff. But then, like, a lot of people have been posting that they've been calling out all of them, right? All these people. So
Right.
this way here, like, you just call them, you say, I want them to be interested. And everyone's like, from what these governors are saying is they're trying to represent people interests, right? So if no one's calling about UAPs, but people
Right.
want disclosure, they're not going to do anything. So there has really been this push the past couple of months that people have been calling everybody. I emailed our Illinois representatives in the Congress, just saying like, please like go through this stuff. They even have like, call scripts that you can follow. If you don't know what to say, just read the script and someone will help you.
That's
Or they have generic email templates. So.
right. And I know, Paul, you had mentioned a book that you had been reading or want to read.
No, I've been reading it. It's called Someone Else is on the Moon.
Oh, nice.
And I kept seeing references to it in some of these articles.
Right.
Well, for one, the whole discussion, why are we finally going back to the moon? Why didn't we go for so many years? And there's a lot of these theories that we were told not to go back. That
Right.
the aliens, and also, and I never heard this, there's theories there were 2 or 3 secret Apollo missions
Yes.
that did go
I've
back
heard.
to the moon to meet with the aliens and
Right.
talk about it. But that's why we never went back after that. And book was written in 1977. So, I mean, it's not a new book, but it keeps getting quoted. And it's also puts forth the theory that the moon actually might be hollow and actually might be a big
Base or something.
space station or whatever. That the
The
aliens are
dark
using.
side of the moon.
Right. You think
That they're
about the bottom
also-
of the ocean, right? The
Yeah.
ocean, we have not explored anything in there.
No.
It is so vast that you never know what could be under there that we
Right.
can't do, but others can do.
And like again, some of the theory, like one theory is that there's actually like a space station. So all
Right.
the UHPs that we're seeing come from this, right? They build it, they can reshape, remold it, send it out. There's like 3 types of drones that they have that they create for their own specific jobs and missions. So it's interesting.
That's
Wild.
right. That's right. Yeah, it is, you guys. Stay tuned because, we love doing these kind of podcasts and on different items. And if you guys ever have any suggestions, what you'd like to hear about, you can always email us and we'll have that information for you. And so this has been fascinating. And there's so
This was
much
fun.
to delve into.
I know.
Yes. So, Paul, is there anything or Doug that you want to say before we close?
Anyone that's listening, call your representatives. If you're really big in this and you want this to happen, call them, right? disclosurediaries.com, push for transparency. All the numbers are there in your free time. People have been saying that they can get through like 25 calls within an hour.
Right.
If you're a salesperson that does cold calling, you could probably do things a lot quicker, but it's
That's
pretty
right.
much it.
That's right, because the congressional offices and your House of Representatives are supposed to answer the phones, and especially if you are their constituent,
Correct.
you have the right to call them and say, you are my relative. this is my belief. State it as a fact. Don't be funny on the phone. You want them to take you serious, act
Right.
serious, and get the information out there. But definitely, yeah, call your representatives. It can't hurt. And don't forget, you guys can always go on like the MUFON information. They have a lot of information, a lot of great documentaries out there.
Yep.
You can go to Discovery Plus. You can go to Netflix, all over. Just do a search for it. And I always like the ones that have our military in it and our airplane pilots, because, we trust them. So,
Yes.
yeah. And
Yep.
Paul, you have anything else you wanted to say?
I just wanted to say, as we've been saying, please contact us with anything else you know or want to have a subject you want us to talk about. We will update this. We already know we got more information coming on UFOs, so we'll probably do another one in the future. But please let us know anything or send us any pictures you have, anything.
Definitely. Yeah. Especially, it doesn't have to be just UFO. It can be paranormal. It can be
Yep.
cryptid, I
Exactly.
would love to look into cryptids, elementals. So anything that's outside of the norm, our group would love to, at least look into it. So all the information will be provided in the podcast information. And I guess with that, we're going to end it. So any final word?
Thank you all very much.
Yes,
Thank you.
thanks,
Both of you.
everybody.
And thank
Don't
you, Paul and Doug,
forget-
for having me.
yes,
This was fun.
yes.
So
That's
Yeah.
right. The Illinois Paranormalists, thank you so much for tuning in today. And we will see you guys real soon. Bye.
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 Thank you.